This on. Call this meeting to order. Moved by Councillor Rolla, second by Councillor Cottick, resolved that the special meeting commence at the hour of 3 o'clock. And be it further resolved that council acknowledges that we are meeting in the Robinson Spirit Treaty area on lands that have been traditionally used by several Indigenous nations, but we would like to pay special recognition to our closest Indigenous neighbors, the community Bigdagon Nishnawbek and Nemzagamek Nishnawbek First Nations. We wish to recognize the long history of First Nations and Métis people in our region specifically and show respect to them today. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof? Seeing none. Approval of the agenda. Moved by Councillor Cottick, second by Councillor Rolla, resolved that the agenda be approved as circulated. All in favor? Carried. Okay, delegations and presentations. Move to business. Moved by Councillor Hudson, second by Councillor Cottick. Resolved that council is in receipt of administration report TR 2026-06 submitted by Aaron McGregor, Treasurer, regarding the 2026 municipal operating and capital budget. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before you is the proposed municipal budget for 2026, as well as the accompanying report. I'm happy to answer any questions about the report or the budget. I'll do a brief high-level overview of some of the major numbers, and we'll go from there. So big picture, this year, we're looking at a 0% change to the tax rate. So we're looking to hold the tax rate as it is. Administration has found efficiencies and savings in the operating budget, which has allowed our allocation coming from reserves to subsidize operations to come down to 357,000 from last year's 620,000. This is a significant step in the right direction, and it represents a movement towards a more sustainable long-term budget strategy. As I've highlighted at the 2023, 2024, and 2025 budgets, we have been using reserves and reserve funds to subsidize the operation in light of some rising operating costs. And of course, as I've highlighted in those past years, that's not a sustainable practice. It can't go on forever. Eventually, reserves and reserve funds run out. So again, this budget represents that movement back towards that sustainable long-term strategy with respect to our budget. We have a number of realized cost savings and future cost savings in mind as well over the medium term, the next few years. So we are confident that next year's budget will look even better than this. I'm very proud of the work that both I and my fellow administrators have done in respect of this budget and our financial situation. We do sit in a better position than many municipalities with our reserves balances. Many municipalities don't have meaningful amounts of reserves. As budgeted, I believe, looking at the report anyway, it's about 6.6 million budgeted opening balance for our reserves and reserve funds. And then at the end of 2026, after some of these projects are undertaken, we'll be sitting at about 5 million in reserves and reserve funds. And again, many municipalities don't have meaningful reserves and reserve funds. So this has been something that's allowed us to keep the tax rate stable. In the absence of reserves and reserve funds like that, we might have to table some large tax increases. So we've been able to, over the last few years, stick to incremental increases, and this year have no increase on the table. As far as our reserves, there's been some commentary in the community and some questions brought to my attention with respect to our reserves. So looking back over the last 15 years, our reserves back in 2011 were sitting around 3 million. And then over the next decade or so, they did grow, as there were a number of capital projects and et cetera that were budgeted but maybe not undertaken. And as a result, the reserves grew quite a bit over that period. Over the last few years, we've had a number of very large capital projects, including the recreation center renovation project. The Manitou Road project is underway. And then several other large purchases of equipment and other capital investments, which have, of course, brought our reserves down from, at their highest, they were around 10, 11 million, and we're looking to budget to be around 5 million at the end of 2026. Once again, in future budgets, we're looking to not rely on our reserves. So we do anticipate that it's a shorter term situation that we are using reserves, and over time that will change as our budget improves over the next few years. If anybody has any questions about the budgets, I'd be happy to answer them. I will start by answering some questions that I received by email before the meeting. I didn't, shortly before the meeting, didn't quite have a chance to answer the email, so I'll bring them to the table if that's okay. So the first was about, in the detailed budget, there's questions about professional fees in the different areas, garbage collection and landfill, community center. So those would be GFL and Simcoe Refrigeration, respectively. So Simcoe Refrigeration maintains the ice plant at the rec facility, and that would be the professional fees consulting in that area of the budget. There's an economic development salary amount that is, I believe, if memory serves, earmarked for a student position, either the museum or tourist information. And professional consulting fee, I think, maybe referring to administration. So that's a few items. It includes our asset management planning, our IT services. I believe that's the bulk of it. E4M, our integrity commissioner, and I think that's the bulk of that line. Hopefully that answers questions.
Yes, it did. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And with that, I'll take any other questions for you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Start at this side.
Through you, Mr. Chair. First off, I'd like to thank Aaron and all the management and the staff for their hard work on getting out this budget and keeping it safe. Very appreciated. I actually am just going through and it looks pretty good. I just have one question. I'm not sure if you can answer it or if the fire chief will have to help on this one. So the fire trucks I know only have a life of like 25 years. And I'm just wondering, because I know what the rescue truck's new, but the other one is aging, but there's nothing put into reserves. Is that by design, or are we waiting till next year, or looking at how that's going?
So we do have some reserve and reserve funds for fire equipment, I believe. We do have a number of different labeled reserves: firefighter equipment, bumper suits, pumper replacement, fire and life safety training equipment, and it looks like they all add up to about 100 something thousand here, but 110, 120,000. So that represents some funds that are available for that type of situation. I can't really speak to the current status of the vehicles. That would be a better question for the fire chief. We don't have any funds earmarked from so sometimes when putting funds into reserves and reserve funds, usually they're going to either come from taxation,
Right,
or they're going to be moved from a different reserve fund. So given that we're taking money from our reserves and reserve funds for operations, it doesn't make a lot of sense to be putting money in for major projects, because it essentially becomes, you're moving it from one reserve to another reserve at that point, basically. So that's just the reserve side of things anyway. As far as the trucks themselves, perhaps I can pass that to the fire chief.
just to clarify, like, I'm just asking because I know the cost of them is quite large, and because I know we don't need it right away, but like, I just thought maybe it would be like a annual thing, whatever. That's all I was just asking.
Okay,
That's
great.
Thank you for clarifying that.
And it is, that would be a good asset management practice, and that is something that we are going to be moving towards with our asset management plan as we complete that. And once we're moved away from using reserves for operations, it moves in the other direction, and we will hopefully have funds to be putting into reserves, just like described with that fire vehicle and other infrastructure as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, okay. Councillor Rolla?
Think I missed something, I'm sorry. Professional fees on the garbage collection, what's that about?
That's our
Salty?
contract with GFL. That's the line we use.
That's
for
the
those
total,
expenses.
that's what you call that, okay.
Yes, and it's across two areas. Some of it is under the landfill and some of it is under garbage collection, which are two different department
Yeah.
numbers.
Okay, I see. How long is that contract good for,
I believe until 2029.
with GFL?
Yes.
Okay, I'll pass for now, so.
Well, bad news for you, Dave. I've got no questions asked. I'll just comment that I really like what I'm seeing here. The little reductions, they matter, not raising taxes, big plus. Like that we're being fiscally prudent about our reserves and trying to not pay from that. So overall, I really like what I'm seeing. So thank you, everyone who's worked on this.
Thank you. And yes, I just want to commend staff too, you know, to come in at zero increase. That's unheard of in this day and age, but yeah, great job. Yes, we have to get into a little bit of reserves, but that's the way it was budgeted. That's the way it looks. One question I do have though is long-term debt. Does Manitowoc have any long-term debt?
Great question. We do not have much long-term debt. The only long-term debt that we have is for the excavator, the wheeled excavator that we purchased last year. So that's a 5-year financed piece of equipment. So that puts our liability at around approximately 300,000 if memory serves, and that'll be paid off over the next 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
And that means, just to elaborate a little further, that does mean that we do have a lot of room to maneuver as far as debt goes. Debt is a reasonable option that many municipalities use to finance capital projects. And we do have some debt budgeted for the completion of the recreation center project. So we do have a lot of ability to maneuver there. We are a municipality that essentially we have a little bit of debt, but essentially no large debt, and that means that we're ready to respond to needs of the community. And given that we do have debt, we're not carrying interest costs, and that's a positive as well for the tax rate.
Right, yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. Yeah, we're making more in interest than we're paying in interest.
Yes.
Okay, any other questions?
Just one, and this is a silly one. Policing from last year is $50,000 more. Do we get explanations for this?
We do receive reports from the OPP with respect to the financial situation which affects our levy. So that could be something that could be brought to the table if council wanted a report on our OPP levy. It is a big piece of the budget, and it would be reasonable to explore that further, but that would probably need to come as a separate report. We do get information from them though, and they do advise each year of the financial status and the updated levy. OPP levies is a topic that has come up at financial conferences. We're not the only municipality that's seen increases to our OPP levies.
So, okay, you got something from them, and that 50,000 increase over 1 year, it wasn't anything in particular said?
Not that I'm aware of off the top of my head. I'd have to go back and look for that information.
Okay, I'll interject a little here. I'm not saying this is what it is, but it's a good chance that in the last year or two, we're now up to full complement for officers, where years back we were not. So that might have, you know, some effect. If there was less people to pay, you know, then of course it was less. So now if it's up 50,000, it's a good chance that that's the reason. Just saying that because I'm on the police board, so, you know, I see the numbers as far as the constables in the community, and right now we are at full complement. So. Do you want to sit here?
Yeah, through the chair, we do receive the rate, from OBE, if council wanted, we could reach out to them and ask for a presentation. We have done it in the past.
I'm not asking for that.
Oh.
No, I'm not.
No, just,
That's fine.
it's available if we want it, that's.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good question. Thank you.
Okay. All in all, it looks great. And no other questions? Great job.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we'll read. Okay, and further that council receives the attached 2025 operating capital and reserve fund variance report for review and consideration. And further that council receives the attached 2026 operating and capital budgets for review and consideration. And further that council directs staff to continue to seek public input on the 2026 budget for a 2-week period. And further that council directs staff to bring the final version of the 2026 budget to a special meeting to be held in August 2026. All in favor? Carried. All right. Moved by Councillor Hudson, second by Councillor Rolla. Being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Township of Manitouwadge at a special meeting held on Thursday, August 6th, 2026, be read a first and second time. Furthermore, be read a third time, passed and numbered as bylaw number 2026-23. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Rolla, second by Councillor Kotick, resolved that the special meeting adjourn at the hour of 3:17. All in favor?